Hello, everybody. Thanks for joining us for this third of 4 sessions. I'm Jo Stanford. I head up the Healthcare Project and Change Association, and this series of events is with the Association for Project Management, and it's all about professional development insights. You can catch up on the first 2 sessions if you missed those. We'll give you the links in an email afterwards so that you can always have a look at them if you like. Each of them is designed to focus on a particular stage excuse me, of professional development. So the first one was for those aspiring to careers in project and change management, but also for those in their early stages, maybe in their first role. The second one was foundation level. So that's looking at those who are have been in the roles for a couple of years, looking for career development, what's available to support them to progress. This particular session is for practitioner level, so those that maybe want to move into this level or those wanting to develop their skills at this level. And then we have a final one next week, which is for kind of senior practitioner level for those that are wanting to develop to the next professional development level. So this is interactive, so if you've just joined us, please do say hello in the chat, say who you are, where you're from and what you do. Great opportunity to network and connect with your peers and counterparts, so say hello, see who's out there, make some connections. There will be a couple of polls, so get ready to press the buttons on that and interact. We also have Q&A. There'll be time for asking questions at the end. If you can put them in the Q&A, they're more likely to get answered. We'll try and field them from the chat, but actually, if you put them in the Q&A, others can vote for them as well. So do that, and we always deal with anybody who raises their hands and asks questions. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Sophie Lawrence from the Association for Project Management, and she's going to give us an oversight on this week's practitioner level session. Thank you for joining us again, Sophie.
No problem at all. Always a pleasure. Thank you for having me. I'm just going to share my screen and put my presentation for you. There we go. So I'm Sophie Lawrence. I'm one of the Partnership Development Managers here at the APM, and my responsibility is to look after the corporate relationship that we have with a number of public sector and charities as well that are under my wing. But here today to share with you some insights into that practitioner level of resources available from the APM. But I did want to just start with a little overview of the APM for those of you that may not be familiar with us. And the Association for Project Management is the only chartered body for the project profession in the world. We are predominantly a membership organisation, so we offer a number of different levels of individual and corporate membership, and that networking community element of what we do is really key and integral to what we do. We are a registered education charity, and we've been working in this space for 50 years. Last year is our 50th anniversary, so a really great heritage within this space, but also a lovely time to reflect on some of the amazing projects that have been going on through those decades. But we're here to really professionalise the industry as a standalone profession and challenge the status quo. We're looking to drive things forward so that project professionals can deliver better, because we very, very sincerely believe that when projects succeed, society benefits. So like I said, we celebrated 50 years last year, and we did reflect on some of those amazing projects around the globe and the country, not least the success of the London Olympics and the rollout of the COVID vaccine as well. So just a couple of really big examples. So we are a pan-sector organisation. So we work with organisations large and small in all sorts of different types of areas and sectors. So it's not just infrastructure that I think often people associate with project management. There's a real diversity in the organisations that we work with. So to give you a sort of feel of the scale and scope of the APM as we are at the moment, we have over 40,000 individual members. Like I said, we have a number of different membership levels that I'll touch on in a moment. We work with over 450 corporate partners. Like I said, a small team of 4 of us that look after those corporate relationships, and that's really that business to business relationship where we're looking to our corporate partners to have a voice in the progression and development of the sector, but also we'll often go to our corporates when we're looking at research pieces, for example, as well, and trying to gain information and data from their areas of expertise. To date, we have chartered over 3,000 individuals. Like I said, we are the only chartered body for the project profession. And it's a relatively new chartership as well. We've had it now for 6 years, so it's something that we're really championing at the moment. We're really trying to encourage the community to become aware that they can become chartered project professionals, and what that looks like for them and how they would go about it. So that's that's the highlight, or the main focus of the next session we've got next week. The qualifications that we produce are a key part of what we do as well, and to date we sort of on average deliver over 18,000 or award 18,000 qualifications every year. And we have over 200 different CPD events. Our continuous professional development opportunities are really core to what we do, and those opportunities to network with like-minded professionals is a important part of what we do. Not just our flagship events, which we're very proud of, but they're with the support of our 500+ volunteers and ambassadors. Our local branches and specific interest groups will also be hosting virtual or in person, more and more thankfully, events as well across the country. So this slide just gives you an idea of like I said, the breadth of the organisations that we work with, being a pan-sector organisation, large and small, public and private sector. So we're really, able to tap into all of this knowledge and expertise to help us progress the profession, but also to learn from one another as well, as a key focus on collaboration and sharing lessons learned as well. So to give you an idea of the type of organisations we work with. So the membership element of what we do comes in different stages, if you like. So there's a membership level for every stage of your career. So to give you an awareness, really, we've got this slide to explain that there is a student membership offering. The associate membership is a click of a button and a whole host of resources available. It's a full membership that you're going to apply for that application, and on being successful in that, demonstrating your 5+ years of experience, you would gain the post-nominals of MAPM, as well as having all of those resources and tools available through your individual membership. And at the latter end there, we have fellows as well. So that's when we're really looking for fellows to be contributing back to the profession through teaching, mentoring, research, having works published, for example. So, at a beyond your normal business as usual kind of level of mentoring, it's giving back to the profession over and above what would be expected at your level or grade. It is a subscription-based membership, so there is an annual fee for that as well. Unless you're a student, that is free, and they do vary depending on which level you go for. But it's a great way to certainly with the post-nominals, to demonstrate your level of professionalism and keep you involved with a community of like-minded professionals. So at this stage, I'm sort of going to be assuming that we're looking at full membership. So I wanted just to elaborate on that process a little bit more for you. Like I said, you do need to have a number of years of active real-world experience within projects to be successful in applying for full membership. And there are 3 different routes to becoming a full member, and there is a written application needed for that. We are looking for not a CV, but more detail than you would have in a CV. So we're looking for the nuts and bolts of what you do in your role and the level of your responsibility, and a clear demonstration that you have been working within projects over those 5 years. And once that's assessed by the board, we would contact you and let you know if you've been successful or not. And then you would gain those post-nominals to be able to add after your name on your footnotes or LinkedIn, etc. It's a great enhancement to your CV. to give you some idea of those routes, we have some information through the guidelines. If you have 3 years of experience, you might be able to become a full member if you hold some of our qualifications, for example. So there are, like I say, 3 different routes to becoming a full member. So yeah, so just to give you an idea of word count there, if you've got 3 years experience and hold the accepted qualification, it's a 1,500 word count submission of your work experience. And if it's the straightforward 5 years experience, it's going to be a 2,500 word limit for you to illustrate your level of competence. So that can all be found on the membership area on our website. Within each tile for each membership level, there will be some guidelines as to what's required. So it's definitely worth looking through that. This is a screenshot from some of those that information that's available for you there. And then beyond that, like I said, just for your awareness, there's the opportunity to request to become a fellow as well. So this would normally be after I think 10 years, I want to say, of professional practice. Yes, again, all the guidelines are on the website. So as an individual member, we have, as a corporate partner, you'll have access to enhanced resources in terms of continuous professional development and tools and networking opportunities through events, etc. As an individual member, this widens and deepens even further. So it's really important to understand that the two are designed to dovetail together. One does not replace the other. And certainly as an individual member, we really feel that you're taking the reins of your career development and for yourself, progressing your learning and development opportunities through the e-learning platform that we supply through the APM and all the different categories and modules on there. There's also a very vibrant community and that safe environment for you to network and converse and have conversation with other professionals that might have insights on an area that you're looking to develop or learn more about. And then you have also got all the resources for your continuous professional development in terms of webinars, YouTube recordings, podcasts, research papers, and lots of other materials as well. So you can really keep your hours of professional development easily tracked. And also measure your competence against our 29 competencies as well to see where those areas might need developing. So that just kind of gives you an overview of the depth of the resources available. We then have our qualifications, and these are quite different to our membership, and you do not need to be a member in order to take the qualifications, and you don't need to have taken the qualifications to become a member. They're 2 separate elements of what we do, if you like. But again, just to give an oversight of that journey, at this stage we would be we're going to be talking a bit more about the PMQ and the PPQ, but just to understand that there is that fundamentals at the beginning of the journey, the PMQ, and then the PPQ is a great step into then chartership as well, which is what we're going to look at in a bit more depth. So in terms of where they fit along your career pathway, this slide just helps to give you a visual on the duration that you've been in projects in order to gauge where you might be looking to what level of qualification or membership that might be suitable for you. And that's just reminded me, actually, I've got a poll question in terms of the duration that you've been in projects. So just to get a feel for the audience and the number of years you have under your belt, I think there's 3 options there for you to tick on that poll, just so we can get an idea of those, how many years experience you have. So if you could just take a moment to click those buttons.
Okay, the results are coming flooding in. So we've got an interesting mix. So we've got 31 responses so far, 27% 0 to 5 years, 48, so nearly 50%, nearly half of 5 to 10 years experience, and then just under 25 for 10 years plus.
Okay, great.
And that seems to be fairly stable. So, we've got a nice bell curve there.
Yes, that's good. And I think that yeah, so what we're going to talk about today with the PMQ and the PPQ is yeah, you're in the right place. So that's great. Lovely, thank you. So in terms of the duration of your career in projects, this slide just helps you to see where you might be. So like I said, that fundamentals is our entry level, our 0 to 2 years as a guide. These are guides. And then today we're going to be looking at the PMQ briefly, and then more in depth of the PPQ, which is your 5 to 7 years of experience. So it's really important that that level that you have got real world experience under your belt to be drawing on. And then we've also can see there the level of membership that you would hope to have. So the PMQ, as we refer to it, project management qualification, is still a knowledge-based exam. So on average, usually this is a 5-day intensive training, which is delivered by one of our approved providers. We don't deliver the qualifications ourselves, we create them, if you like. So depending on which one your organisation uses or how that works, they would deliver that education for you. And it's worth being aware that many of them are doing that in many different formats now. So obviously during lockdown, a lot of these qualifications became virtual very quickly, and so the delivery of the content of the courses was also virtual. Many of them are now doing other options too. So there is an option to be in the classroom if that works best for you as a learner, and also there's hybrid options as well as just being the full online version. And how they stagger that will vary as well. So it's really worth asking the questions when you're selecting a provider to deliver that information for you. It is also, because it's a knowledge-based qualification, we do at APM still consider this to be a self-study option, and so there would be the opportunity for you to purchase the guides, syllabus, etc., for you to self-study for this one. Like I said, normally it's a 5-day course. The exam itself is a 3-hour online typed exam, and they are short essay style questions. So you've got 15 minutes reading time. You're then going to select 10 from 16 options. So 10 from 16 different questions, and each of those questions will have a part A and part B for you to complete. Like I say, they are a short essay style question. What else is important to point out with that? I have heard that the time for this is tight. It's quite a time pressured exam, so be prepared for that. There's a lot of information that you're going to try and get on paper in a short time. But like I said, the self-study options are available as well, and the sample papers will be on the website for you to look at as well. And it's well worth looking through the resources that are on the website to help and support you as well, so that you can feel as prepared as possible. And there is a section as well which will give you the opportunity to have a play and a practice on the online platform element, so you're familiar with how that looks and feels when it comes to your exam date. So I recommend doing that, because you will be required to set up your mobile device to act as a camera, so that you can be watched, if you like. It's the wrong word, but so you can be viewed whilst you're actually completing the exam. Yeah, in terms of real world experience, we would recommend normally that you have 1 to 2 years practice. And then if you have got a Prince 2 practitioner, so an active, this next slide, the active Prince 2 practitioner qualification already, there is a shortened version of PMQ, because we are taking into account that prior learning that you already have demonstrated. So for this exam, it's now a 2-hour exam, and you are going to complete 6 from 10 question options, rather than the 10 from 16. So it's fewer, because we're already acknowledging that prior learning. So again, there's a self-study option. I'd imagine that the delivery of the qualification is going to be the same in terms of the classroom work, but when it comes to the exam, you've got less to do. So that's the PMQ. So it's a real step up from the PFQ. If you haven't already taken this, it's quite a different beast. Don't underestimate the requirements for this. It's not easy to complete or pass. And then we have our PPQ qualification. This one's less. Hi, Joe. Sorry, did you want to?
Sorry to interrupt. Just have a quick question on the last one. So somebody in the chat has asked, how about when you are PMP certified by the Project Management Institute? Does that count as accreditation towards prior learning?
It's not. We don't have a specific paper for that particular one. No, unfortunately, it's just the Prince 2 that we have a shorter route, if you will. So it may be on one of our other recognised assessment for other courses, but not for this particular one, from what I know.
Thank you.
Okay. So yeah, so the PPQ qualification is one that's not very talked about very much. It's not as popular, I have to say, as the PMQ. However, I don't think that the wider project community are aware of its redeeming features, if you like. This is a route to chartership. So if you are at a point where you know, the PMQ doesn't feel right, or perhaps you've already got the PMQ and you're not quite ready for chartership, but are looking to progress in a recognised assessment kind of way, PPQ could be the one for you. So at this stage, we are looking for, you know, in the region of, usually advisable to have in the region of 5+ real world project experience. This assessment is experience and competence based. It is not a knowledge based qualification. So it's not a case of being in the classroom and learning information and then demonstrating your understanding. This is demonstrating your experience and competence through your active practice. So it's not one that you can book a course for, but there are providers that will support you in preparing for the assessment in a more tailored coaching way, and they will often require you to do a reassessment to understand where you are at, in order to understand if they can help you in approaching this. So it's a little bit different, so just to make that clear. The assessment method itself is broken into 3 different stages. It is done in one period of time, but you have different methods of assessment during that session, let's say. So initially you will be sent a pre-seen case study. So you'll have the case study sent to you a month prior to your exam date, for you to take your time to read and digest and understand. And when you arrive for your assessment, your 2 virtual assessors, because this will be done virtually, will run you through a role play scenario. So they'll give you a situation where you understood what's happening with your pre-seen section, and they're going to tell you of some change or some problem or something that's happened in regards to this project that you're taking care of, and you'll have some time to reassess your approach to it, think about how you might change what you're going to do, time to prepare, and then you've got a 20-minute role play with those 2 assessors virtually. So that forms part of that assessment. You'll then also have an oral exam with those 2 assessors, so they'll then go into some more detail into certain areas of what you've explained. And then there will be a written report phase as well, which is done again virtually online to conclude that assessment. So there's different methods of assessment there, but it's drawing on your knowledge and experience of different methodologies in projects to illustrate and demonstrate your competencies against our competence framework. So really important that you're familiar with our competence framework and our body of knowledge as well. So that's what that is about. There are key assessment cycles, dates for this particular qualification, because obviously we do need to coordinate yourselves with the assessors. So there are key windows for you to take this. And there, like I said, there are a number of our recognised or our approved delivery organisations that will have some sort of coaching, mentoring option for you, because it's not a straightforward course to attend. So really important that you're demonstrating that you're aligning with our competence framework for that. And if you're successful with that one, that then takes you to route 1 for chartership. So when the time comes for you to then become chartered, which I do hope that you are all considering in the future, if not already, this would then mean that you would be able to take route 1 and have that prior learning acknowledged in that process as well. It's also, the PPQ is also a direct route to membership. So for full membership, you wouldn't need to complete any applications or demonstrate, like I said earlier, those years of experience to become a full member. If you hold this qualification, you simply let us know that I'd like to become a full member and have my post-nominals, and I have this qualification, and we understand that clearly demonstrates your level of understanding and competence. So that's another benefit to the PPQ. So I hope that gives you a kind of a flavour of what that is like and how that is different to our other qualifications. But like I said, it's not one that is spoken about as much as the PMQ. I was just thinking as well, it's worth noting that if you are an individual member, there is an opportunity through that membership to request mentors, and you can have as many mentors as you want to as a individual member. So so for lots of our associate members, or even full members that are looking to perhaps take these qualifications or become chartered, that's another very popular reason to have a mentor. There's an opportunity for you to reach out to the community and individuals that have offered their time, so that you could have conversations with somebody that's perhaps completed it, or that will help support and mentor you through that preparation process prior to taking the PPQ. This is a screenshot of the area on the website where we've got the through the qualifications and training page, the information regarding the online exams, so that you can, like I said, have a look at sample papers. You can have a go on the platforms that we used to do those exams, so that you're familiar with that look and feel of those tools when we come to take the exam. So do spend some time in this page on the website. The frequently asked questions is also really helpful as well, as people have generally asked the same things before. I wanted to include this slide just to give you that feel of that career journey as well, so you can see what level you may be now, what sort of position that you might hold, or potentially what you want to strive for in the future, and perhaps that will help to guide you to see what's the next thing for me. So all the slides will be available afterwards today. Obviously it's a recorded session as well, so you can reflect on this in your own time. I know there's a lot of information on that one slide, so please do come back to it if it's going to be of help to you. And then just to touch on the resources, as a member of the HPCA, you'd have access to those corporate partner benefits as well. So it is a business relationship essentially. That's the key part of it, but in turn, there are enhanced resources to the community of those organisations. So just to sort of touch on that, I have mentioned the competence framework, which is integral to all of our qualifications and our body of knowledge, and both of these resources are available as corporate partners. The competence self-assessment tool is a great place to go to if you haven't spent much time on our website, if you're not completely familiar with what we're about. This is a really good place to start, to just get a ballpark feel for where your knowledge and understanding is against our competence framework, which aligns obviously with chartership. It takes 15 minutes, and we'll just give you a nice spider graph image of areas where your knowledge is good and strong, and areas where you perhaps might want to focus your CPD hours, going to gem up a bit on those topics. If you are a full member, the tool itself will then guide you to particular resources, which is really helpful, which you can then bookmark and come back to later, which is really helpful. It will then also record the time and have that nice collation of CPD hours that you've spent, so it'll all be in one place for you. As a corporate partner, we do have a handy spreadsheet format so that you can still get in the habit of recording your CPD hours, because it is required. Certainly if you're looking to become chartered, we require 35 hours of professional development every year. So that's good to know. And obviously there are many formats of CPD, so don't feel that you're just going to have research paper we've ever produced. It could be that you want to attend the local branch event that's coming up, and that would also be CPD. So do the self-assessment tool, get a feel for where you are. There's also a way of comparing with other job roles as well, so you can see again from a development perspective, where do I need to deepen my knowledge in order to fit what's required at the next level. So that's good to know as well. And then just to give you that broad overview again, you've got the e-learning platform available as individual members. The project journal is available to corporate partners. You have access to the digital version of that, which is a quarterly publication that we release, an award-winning publication, and you also have the entire backlog of all of the previous digital copies as well as a corporate partner. So that's all through our corporate hub. Publications that we have, obviously, like I said, research is a big part of what we do as well. So any white papers, publications that we've got available will be digitally available for you there as well, and podcasts and other resources too. Our events are really important to us. That networking piece is so important, and our flagship events are something we're always very proud of. We've got our Women in Project Management coming up in September, which is always a really well attended and supported event. We've recently had our Changes conference in Birmingham earlier in the summer. Again, really insightful, inspiring individuals, but also are very passionate and enthusiastic volunteers with our branches and specific interest groups will also be hosting events and conferences. So do look through our events section on the website. There are 14 different specific interest groups. You can express an interest in as many of those as you like. It could be that you're interested in a particular area that you want to learn more about, or it could be that you're very knowledgeable in a sector that you want to share about. So it can be a really great platform to share lessons learned and knowledge as well. And then we have our branches, and there will be a branch near you, and they are always keen to have new members involved. Please don't feel that you're going to be committing a great deal of time to the branches. You can attend their events, or you can become on, go on, take a place on the board, or be as involved as you wish to be. But they are always very warm, welcoming, and happy to have more people involved. And obviously it's a great way to get to know individuals from different organisations at a local level. So another slide there for you. I'm just conscious of the time now. A slide there for you just to list those different branches and where they are around the country. So it's hopefully one not far from you. The specific interest groups are not regionally based, so they will be hosting things all over the place, but it's usually virtually hosted so that they, those individuals can come together and share ideas on those topics. And just a quick overview of the landing site. When you come to our website, there is an awful lot of information there, but just to highlight some key areas for you to explore. Like I said, the qualifications and training section is where you'll find those details on the different qualifications, the membership area, obviously on those different levels of membership. And then within the events section, you will have a list of what's coming up over the coming months, and that's always being updated as well. But if you haven't already registered and created a profile, that's what you would need to do in order to access the corporate hub. But I know that through the HPCA, you will have the similar resources, but through that platform. So I think that, yeah, that wraps it up from me. If there are any questions in the chat, I'm happy to.
That's great. Thank you, Sophie. Great overview. We haven't got many questions, so if anybody does have a question, can you stick your hand up or put it in the chat really quickly? Anybody who puts their hand up will get preference, so if you're keen to find out more information, do stick your hand up and we'll get to you. I do have a question from Faith. Thanks, Faith, for putting that question in. It's about the PPQ, and it's, do you need to refresh the PPQ after a specified period of time?
Oh, that's the beauty of our qualifications, is once you've got it, you've got it. You've demonstrated that level of competence and it is firmly under your belt and yours forever. So no need to revisit, thankfully. So yeah.
So no hands up. There are a quiet bunch today. I've been putting a lot of links in the chat so that as you've been talking about different elements, it's taking them to those specific areas in the website. I also noticed when I went onto the chartered page that there was actually a link to a LinkedIn event that was coming up in 2 days' time to find out more about the refreshed chartered standard. So I've posted that. So if anybody's interested in finding out more about the chartered standard, there's a lunchtime event that everybody can just click on the LinkedIn for and register. We've got a question come through from Catherine. Thanks, Catherine. Did PMQ used to be APMP?
Now that's before my time. I would need to double check. I think
that's right. Yes.
Okay.
Yes, because there were old names for things, and then they were revamped and refreshed. I do think that the PMQ is the equivalent of APMP as it was, because I did the practitioner qualification, which is now the project professional qualification.
Okay.
So that got replaced as well. I did also put a link in terms of the question of accredited accreditation, so people can have a look through that if they have different kinds of qualifications already and see what does and doesn't fit within prior learning for the chartership approach particularly.
Yeah.
That's it for questions so far. Do we have any more? Oh, I just got a comment come in from Onalathata. I'm so sorry how
just
I
say
butchered your
owner.
names.
Just say owner.
Owner, thank you,
Yeah.
Owner. So you're a member of the APM Benefits and Value SIG and find it really helpful. How long have you been involved in that?
I think it's almost a year now. I was invited by Hugo because he was one of the member for Project Management Institute, one of the director of volunteering. So he invited me to that, hence I asked about PMP, which I'm really concerned. I don't know why. Is it the rivalry thing, or why is it not aligned with you, Sophie? Do you know? Because actually I have some members from I've been chatting with some global member for Project Management Institute. They want to find a connection on how they can kind of work with you to make sure this qualification can be acknowledged really as it's supposed to be, because more like we're benchmarking against each other, isn't it? The APM and Project Management Institute.
Yeah, so we do work very closely with our international colleagues, so always happy to have a conversation. If you wanted to send me an email, I can then introduce to somebody at our end, but I'm sure there are conversations at a more senior level that are already happening.
I've been talking with senior level people really to kind of see why is it not being recognized, or why is it not like being publicized as other Project Management Institute in the qualifications in the UK. So we're trying to find a way or contacts or you get the exposure it deserves.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, there's definitely work going on in that space, because there was a senior person from the Project Management Institute at the APM conference recently, talking about the work that's going on to align things. So I think historically there has been a competition, particularly when the organisation went for chartership. But now everybody's moved beyond that, and everybody's kind of looking at how we can work together going forward. So yeah, that's really good. Thank you, Anna. So we've got a question from Melanie. Mel, do you want to ask your question?
Yeah, thanks, Jo. Apologies, Sophie. I don't think this is actually a question for you. I think this is a question for Jo. If we're interested in doing any of the APM qualifications or any of the various sign-up routes, in terms of the nuts and bolts of how we apply to it through our various NHS organisations, how do we actually kind of, what form do I need to put in front of my boss to sign, or buttons to press on what screen, please?
Yeah, that's an interesting one. And again, you'll know, Mel, that every organisation runs differently and has different things in place in terms of organisational learning and development. I think that the starting point is going to your L&D team, or whoever runs learning and development in your organisation, and request to go on a specific course, because usually there is an internal form which is specific to that particular organisation, that then gives the rationale for why, and also look for the kind of funding and support for it. But I think also having that conversation with your line manager, one of the things that we're very keen to do, and why we're here at the HPCA, is to raise awareness of the profession and also professionalise across the healthcare sector. So to work with organisations as well. So if it would be useful to have a chat following this, and we'll set something up, and then we can maybe talk about what your organisation does and doesn't have in place, and if there's something that we can send to you, to your line manager, so that you can then share that and say, here's where we could potentially get to and support the organisation to develop. And as I say, corporate membership with the APM comes as part of that. So there's lots to kind of offer the organisation to help it improve. So hopefully make your case for getting that training request approved.
Super, thank you. Yeah, it's great to be able to talk to project professionals, being the only one in a team of finance people.
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a good case study there, because we are hosted by HFMA currently, so the Healthcare Financial Management Association, and that is very well supported by finance directors and the finance staff. So if you're looking at what's the case for it, well, we're looking for the equivalent of what the finance profession gets in terms of its professional development support. So that's an argument that hopefully your finance colleagues will understand. But yeah, do get in touch if you wanted to have a follow-up, Mel, and we'll have a chat about it and see what we can send you to help support your case, and anybody else that is interested in following this up and wants a bit more advice and support on it. Thank you for that question, and thank you everybody for joining in. Thank you, Sophie, for another really insightful and interesting session that gives people a real understanding of what to do next in terms of their career development. As I said, this is the 3rd of 4th. If you want to find out more about the next level, the next step up, that's going to be next week. The link is in the chat, so please do click on that if you want to register and find out more about that one. And we will send a follow-up with the links from today, and also for anybody who missed the a section of this particular session, so you can watch it on demand. And thank you for joining us and giving us your time. Thank you, Sophie, and see you all again next time.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.